Going back to the sequel, Miss Lee book. This is Mrs Coleman of Coalbrookdale. It's the second part of it, and we're going right back to that aqueduct now, but we're going further along after the narrator and Miss Lee have encountered each other. The reason why is we have Marple right around here. I think I'd be remiss if I didn't keep plugging the place. I mean, if I was in like St. Anne's, I'd be doing the St. Anne's scenes, right? Right? Anyways, why are we here? You ever think about it still? Temperance, that's Miss Lee, looked at over her shoulder at the viaduct. Do you ever get those sort of thoughts? Her lavender skirt hovered just inches above the ground, the heels above her blue brocade velvet boots likely playing a part. I gazed at her and shook my head. Never. Her empathy and sensitivity poured from her shining blue irises. A hopefulness radiated from them, while also revealing a reluctance to accept the response. Her tone of voice matched her expression. Only when we had that bad fight before we got engaged, I glanced down at the black shoes set atop the granite, but not since then. I recall that vividly. She clutched a gold button on her navy-colored wool coat as she drew close. I'm delighted that the melancholia has receded, because if you were going to jump, I'm going with you. I looked over the edge and was reminded of how far down it was toward the bottom. I squeezed her hand harder. A freight liner crept by on the viaduct behind us. Our eyes briefly pivoted to the green metallic train that chugged over the river until it disappeared behind the brush that lined the tracks on the other side of the viaduct. And I'm not merely referencing the superior strength that I have, but she's supernatural, just for reference. She spoke firm and nonchalant, gazing at her wedding ring before fixing her sights back on me. If you ever feel that way, I want you to tell me, then I will always lend you my ear. I appreciate that, and the same goes for you. I know that. She smiled gently. I wouldn't ever care if it was every day in a bloody heap here. I will always be here for you. But I don't want to be the depressed guy. She tightened her lips. You never were. She gazed at me and a light had filled her eyes. You're so much more than that. And people probably didn't want me to be around me because of this dark cloud that followed me everywhere I went, because I was anxious or worked up about something. And I've reminisced on all those moments which I convinced would never end. And it rattled on without relent for many years, but if only it could have come to a terminus somehow. I stopped by saying to her, all I ever wanted to do was be a good man and be happy and try to live a good life. And she responded that you're the most honorable man I know. Her response was again firm and measured, and she looked me straight in the eye as she said it, caressing my cheek as she did so. And you are equipped with a strength and dignity that you don't even know. You don't even realize what sort of impact you could have on others. She smiled. I was at a loss for words because she had touched my soul, and I knew she had meant every word that she had said. And if anyone ever made you feel diminished because of your struggles, I would tear a strip off them personally. She smiled again. A chuckle broke from me. You sound like me now when I get ramped up to defend you. Maybe so. Her smile turned to a smirk, but perhaps not. Her eyes twinkled with mischief. I do put things a bit more elegantly, do I not? I laughed as her cheeks sparkled with scarlet from her antics. My greatest fear is that one day this will all be a dream and I will wake up and be here without you. And she says, I cannot bear the thought myself, as I could never be away from you. Her eyes enlarged before she spoke again. But even so, my love for you is greater. The remarks hit their mark as it dug into my heart. I'll always be with you until the end. She embraced me tightly and threw her hands around me, shutting her eyes and listening to the sound of the river below. Her hands rubbed down my back. She said, be still. I could feel the strands of her hair dance and waft into my face from a faint breeze. Her grip around me grew stronger as I held her. A few moments later, she started to whistle a tune, the opening to Bridge Over Troubled Water. Thereafter, she pulled her head back and started singing the lyrics to me. I listened on intently in awe, listening to her voice and completely helpless. It was a matter of time before the tears started to flow and they were met by her thumbs to catch them. Before she broke her serenade, pressing her lips against my nose and keeping them fixed in place. It was one of the most genuine and kind acts I had ever experienced. And she poured out her affection and embraced me with a tenderness and gentleness that only the Lord himself could have filled her with. I had spent so much of my time trying to be a rock for her and blanket her with grand romantic gestures that they were all left in the wake of her impromptu display of friendship, companionship, and unconditional love that she just dreamed up 5 minutes before. Thank you.